Welcome, motherfuckers, to some weeaboo shit. Ooh. So yeah, I was supposed to have this video filmed about 2 odd days ago, but the thing is, I had to film it 3 times, including this one, mainly because I'm an idiot and I hate storage. I'll leave it at that and we'll move on with the video. It's been a while since I've uploaded, about 3 months. And speaking of long time between when something was supposed to happen, I promised a kind of video about a year ago, in 2020, what a great year. On this kind of video was a what if of Dragon Ball. I don't think I really need to explain what that is, but if I do, here is the original video where I explain exactly what it is in a strange way. Let's just do a quick little call for all the characters we'll be seeing in this video. We'll start off with Bardock's crew. We've got Celepa, Pumbukin, Tepo, and we can't forget Toma and Bardock, like I mentioned before. We also have Agine, Frieza, and Zarbon and Dodoria. Now I want to clarify something. Is this movie Bardock or is this special Bardock? And I would just like to say it is... It's both. I just thought it'd be best to sort of combine the two because in the movie we don't really know enough about him to say for certain whether this would work, and in the special he's too much of an asshole to really be concerned enough about anything for this what if to work. Speaking of which, this is what if Bardock went Super Saiyan. If you don't know what that is, leave. We don't like you. You're a butthead. Now, what is it about this Bardock that is different from the others that allows him to transform and transcend above the average Saiyan warrior into the realm of legends? Oh, he's bored. That's pretty much it. He's bored. He is bored. If you think about it, it does make sense. He's been doing the same job for his entire life, which I'm just gonna say is 28 years because we don't know. He could be like 50. He could be 70 years old. We literally don't know. Now, when I say he's bored, I don't mean he's specifically done with killing and being an absolute jerk. I just mean he's bored of this specific kind of fighting and this specific kind of killing. Just going to planets constantly. There are only 2 reasons he really still goes. First of all, it's his job. He kind of has to. The second reason is because of his friends. You know, he still enjoys spending time with them, hanging out. Like, they're a lot closer here. Like, so close that if all of them were to die in, say, like a 24-hour period around that, like, he would get so angry that he would find a new transformation, possibly even brutally murdering the person who, you know, took them. As a hypothetical situation, you know. Quick summary of the original version. Bardock sees the future, he sees his planet exploding, goes to try and stop it, his friends die, he goes to avenge them, he dies. What a fun time. Now, in the original version of events, the way Bardock is able to see into the future is he invades a planet, and essentially just to be an absolute knob, because, you know, he killed the planet, an alien who survived jumps around Bardock and then, like vipers him in the back of the neck just so he can see the end of his planet. Dick move, but also fair enough. But in this version, I'm going to change that. Instead of just like vipering him in the throat, he stabs him in the back, like straight through the spine. Like you can see bone sticking out. It's not good. There's blood everywhere, his friends are panicking, it's like all frantic and shit, and they fly him back to Vegeta, the planet, not the prince or the king, where they land down this like Kasplat and they give him to Gine, who then puts him in a pod, and he's all healing up, and it's nice and good, and yay. The reason I've had Bardock impaled here is because I thought it'd be best to give him a bit of a strength boost. If you don't know why, essentially, if a Saiyan gets hurt, they get strong. We call this a Zenkai boost. Zenkai boost. Now the main reason I've done this is so he doesn't absolutely get destroyed by Dodoria, this pink monster thing, later on in the video, so you know. Now while Bardock is sleeping, he has his first future vision, and he sees this really, real horny dude standing above this big, round, red planet. Looks a lot like his, and the horny dude looks a lot like Frieza, the guy with horns. Get your mind out of the gutter. He then sees the horny man, who looks like Frieza, make big red ball, but this don't look like planet, this looks like big explosion thing, and he flicks it, and planet go kaboom. So he wakes up and he goes like, well, that was a weird dream, and oh, by the way, he is naked. Very naked. So Bardock starts wandering off home, not naked, sadly, and someone comes up to him and is like, Bardock, Frieza's been asking about the Super Saiyan, which confuses Bardock because that is literally a child's fairy tale that only children believe in. And Vegeta's. And Frieza's, apparently. He also takes note that Frieza has called back every single Saiyan, no matter the mission, back to planet Vegeta, which starts to make him a bit suspicious, because, he was told he had future vision, saw his planet explode. Frieza's asking about the Super Saiyan, and, all the Saiyans are coming back to the planet. This makes him a wee bit nervous. So he goes on and skedaddles back to his house and is like, hello, wife. I am now going to yeet our baby out into space with no protection whatsoever, because I think Frieza might possibly blow up the planet. She is a little bit confused by this, but has very little time to respond, because Toma waltzes in, Bardock's best friend, who will make it to the end of this video, and no point past that, and he tells Bardock we have another mission to go on tomorrow, which he's not too happy about, because he was just on one of those things that he's very bored of. This also makes him a little bit more suspicious, because all the Saiyans are being called back, and now he's being thrown back out into space, which is a bit weird, but well, we move on. So in the middle of the night, he steals a pod for his son Carrot, or Kakarot, as their accent would pronounce it, and Guinea's she's protesting the shit out of this, because she's like, this is literally nuts. There's no reason we need to do this. But Bardock is like, nah, I've connected dots. I've made a decision. You have no... Also, side note, it is really sad, because in the Broly movie, Guinea goes to her son and says, don't forget us, and the first thing he does when he gets to Earth is forget them. That's sad and a little depressing, and it makes me happy. So yeah, now Kakarot has been sent out into space anonymously, so no one knows he's there. But Bardock still goes on his mission the next day, even though he is suspicious. He's heading off to the planet with his crew. Then he has another vision. It shoots through his head like that, and makes his hair weird. This vision is of him and his crew absolutely being slaughtered by Dodoria. It is bad. There's a pool of blood. There's a hole in the ground, and it's just blood in there. And it's not the other crew's blood, it's just theirs. So after the vision, / seizure, is over, Bardock is like, hey, I think we're going to be ambushed by the big, fat, pink man. I reckon we should be ready. They think he's a little nutty, but hey, be ready for anything. Sure enough, when they get to the surface of the planet, they check their scouters, with the beep, boop, bop, and the electrical noises like a boop. And they indeed notice there are other power levels on the planet. One of them being quite high, about 22,000, which is a bit nutty, but well, we'll move on. Bardock has a smart idea. It's large brain, it's gooey brain. No, that's bad. So Dodoria's just kind of chilling and waiting to get killing. Gut spilling. When all of the sudden, 4 people just crash into his crew, with no warning whatsoever, and he goes whoa! What a crazy coinkadink. As that fight's going on, he's just kind of chilling there, being entertained. But then he thinks, there was supposed to be 5, and there's only 1 less than that. He starts to get suspicious and uses his scouter to have a gaze around to see if there's anything else. And sure enough, there is a very large power level, around 24,000 building up, which is again quite nutty. And he realizes, oh, if that big ball of energy hits me, I'll probs die. So, he dodges and it hits one of his men, killing them. So, that's good for the Saiyan crew because now they've got a far better chance of winning than they did in the special. Bardock and Dodoria then start their little spat, but Bardock is losing because he just used a shit ton of energy to try and kill Dodoria, and he didn't even hit the motherfucker. But then, as Dodoria is about to kill Bardock, like he's very close, his crew then come in smashing Dodoria. It's 4-on-1. A very damaged one on not so much damaged 4. However, Dodoria is able to mortally wound Toma, not to kill him, but very much mortally wound him, which is a bit worrying, but Bardock gets back up and he begins to pummel Dodoria with the rest of his crew. They end up managing to kill him, but both he and Toma really need some medical attention, so they're like, zoom back to Vegeta, again the planet, not the prince or the king, where they then land. Gine then again puts them in the medical bay because apparently that's all she's good for. Pfft, low-class Saiyan warriors. Am I right? Not woman, because that'd be sexist. So, in summary of what just happened, Dodoria was going to jump Bardock, but then Bardock has a vision about the jump, so he jumped the jump. But then Dodoria realized that his jump was being jumped by Bardock's jump, so he jumped Bardock's jump that was jumping his jump. But then Dodoria got jumped by the jumping jumpers who jumped the jump. Jump. So while Bardock and Toma in the medical bay healing up and possibly getting his Zenkai boost, the rest of the crew go off to try and, gather an army to fight Frieza because, he's about to murder them all. But, because this sounds a little bit nutty, they just kind of completely and utterly, without hesitation, ignore them, like they did Bardock. So Celepa takes the other two, and she just, sprints and, we gotta go, we're gonna fight. And honestly, I reckon the three of them together can do about just as good as Bardock, even to the point of them dying. Spoilers. Sorry. So they do manage to, fight off a lot of the Frieza soldiers, and they call out his name, but it's louder because there's 3 of them and they're all screaming. So Frieza does come out, he powers up his little energy ball, and by little I mean, moon size, which is, it's kind of big, and he pops it down. It kills Bardock's 3 friends, but just as that begins to happen, Toma and Bardock wake up and they bolt out of the medical bay, and Bardock just, slaps the ball of energy out of his way. It don't got nothing on him. He just swaps it. And, he's starting to feel confident, He just, knocked away Frieza's big attack. The issue comes in the fact that that was not a whole lot of Frieza's power. And he is also weaker than Frieza's first form, which is a bit of an issue, but Toma and him together actually put up a pretty good fight. They're both expert fighters against Frieza, who's dog shit, but he's powerful. So it's a pretty even fight, and the rest of the Saiyans start to realize, oh shit, the other 3 weren't lying, we just got them killed, oopsie doodle. But do remember, Frieza is a terrible loser, and he starts to realize he's losing. So he uses his second form, which is about double what he originally had, a whopping 1,060,000. This is not good for the boys because the boys do not have the skill to keep up with that. They're not doing terrible, but they are definitely about to die. But from below, one of the elite Saiyan warriors just pops up one of the energy balls that Vegeta used, and they all become giant great apes. A 10 times boost in power. Frieza's about to get fucked. Except he isn't because he still has 2 more transformations. Dun 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 bam. So, Frieza goes to his 3rd form, and that does nothing, so he goes into his final form, which does do something, and by something, I mean he rips off both Toma and Bardock's tails, and now they're small, and he's beating the living hell out of them. It'd be disturbing to watch, I'd imagine. So right now, this is not looking good for the Saiyans, but they have advantage in numbers. There's literal thousands of giant apes versus 1 Frieza and a couple hundred soldiers. They dealt with the soldiers pretty quickly and are now onto Frieza, giving Toma time to grab Bardock and throw him back into one of the remaining healing chambers. Tide pods. Now that Bardock is safe and healing up, Toma goes out to fight again, as he does technically still have the strongest power level aside from Bardock. He's just not an ape anymore, because again, no tail, sucks to be him. So, Bardock wakes up after an hour, maybe. I don't know. It's very unspecified how long they take, but he wakes up after, let's say, about an hour. He goes out into the battlefield and sees a bloody wreck. Just a sea of red and tails on the floor. And heads. I'd imagine there'd be a couple of cut-off heads. Frieza's pretty brutal. And on the floor, he sees one twitching. He sees Toma. He goes down to his friend, and he's ready to bring him back from the brink of death, but he can't. Toma's about to die. He gone see the light, man. He takes off Toma's rag to dab the blood on his face. And Toma says he protected her. He reveals underneath him Guinea, damaged but alive. And with his final words, he tells Bardock, take Guinea, find your children, and run. This awakens something in Bardock. As his friend's blood-stained arm rag is in his hand, he looks at his best buddy on the ground, bleeding out, barreling with blood on the ground. Something builds inside of him. Bardock screams. He says, with primal rage. Louder. His hair begins to spike up as a golden aura surrounds him, and with one last... Bardock becomes the first Super Saiyan in over 1,000 years. The big monkeys and Frieza then stop their battle to look at the pure awesomeness that is Bardock right now. And without saying a word, Bardock speeds over to Frieza with speed. Frieza could not even comprehend what was going on. Bardock stares him down. He reaches out and everyone thinks it's going to be like a key blast or something cool, but no. No, that'd be over too quick. He grabs his head like that, and he slowly, like real slow, begins to squeeze. Frieza powers up to 100% to try and loosen Bardock's grip, but it ain't doing shit. Bardock says nothing as he stares into Frieza's scared little eyes, as he squeezes more and more, until Frieza's eyes pop right out of his skull. And you know, the rest of his head goes too. Frieza's body and what's left of his head then falls limp and lifeless onto the floor. Bardock has become the one and only Super Saiyan. But at what cost?
Everybody died!
So that's all the time we have for this video. I don't know if this was good. This was fun though. Except for, the frustration of having to film this like 3 times! Other than that, this was great. I'll probably do another one. Give me 50 dislikes if you want another video, and give me 10,000 if you really want another video. Honestly, at this point, I'd just be happy to have 50 views. It's cold, and it's lonely at the edge of YouTube. No one sees you. I'm a man. Steak. Muscle. Women. Man. So yeah, piss off and namaste.